The Miami real estate market is doing some really crazy stuff right now. So crazy that my hair right here is literally standing straight up, as you can see. And we're gonna be talking about it all in this video, looking at the data so that you guys can make the most informed decision for yourselves and your family. So if you're interested in Miami real estate at all, you definitely want to check out this video and stick around to the end. And I'm gonna give you my perspectives on what's happening in the market and what I would personally do if I was a buyer or a seller in this market. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your Miami real estate agent. And today we're looking at everything from median sale price, active listings, new listings, days on market, months of inventory, all the data that you guys need to know. And it's coming straight from the MLS, just like always. I don't use outdated sources. I look at the most up-to-date, current, Vanguard cutting edge data so that you guys can be the most informed consumers to make the best informed decision or purchase or sale for yourselves and your family. And if that's what you're looking to do, or if you're looking to do anything in the Miami real estate market, all my contact info is in the description down below if you'd like to reach out, and I'll help you however I can. So without any further ado, let's help ourselves into this data right here. All right, so this first graph that I want to show you guys here, we're looking at single family homes first. We're going to look at single family homes, then condos for each of these graphs so you can see them separately. Now, median sale price versus days on market is our first one here. So median sale prices for single family homes are up from $530,000 in December 2022 to $540,000 in January 2023. It's a $10,000 increase, which is 1.9% month over month, okay? And it's actually, so that's what you see there, that little tick up. But year over year, it's actually a 3.8% increase, which is kind of crazy to think that in 1 year's time, single family homes have only gone up 3.8% when in the previous years, we were seeing like 20%-ish each year. So that's kind of, pretty notable difference there. However, the peak, which was in May of 2022 over here, the peak of the market was 575,000. Prices are actually down negative 6.1% from that 575 to 540,000. So that's pretty notable. We're not back up to that peak yet. Will we get there? Probably at some point, but we're not there yet. And if we go over here to the blue line, that's days on market. You see that line's been going basically straight up since July of 2022. So the days are on market are up 5 days on market from 60 to 65 from December 2022 to January 2023. So that's a good thing for market normalization. We want to see the days on market increasing so that buyers can continue to get good deals in this market, right? Now, as a seller, it's not necessarily what you want to see because you want to see your house selling quickly. But, if you're a buyer in this market, that's a good sign for just market, normalization overall. Okay, so next graph I want to show you guys here is the same statistics, but for condos. Okay, so median sale price versus the average days on market. So condo median sale prices are up, okay, from 375,000 to 400,000 from December 2022 to January 2023. That's a 6.7% month over month increase. So that's kind of crazy to think about. This little pop-up right here, just in 1 month's time, median prices for condos have gone up almost 7%. And it's actually an even bigger increase year over year than from condos. We had an 11.1% increase year over year from over here in January 2022, okay? So a little bit more of a normal increase, still less than what we saw in the previous years, these big run-ups here. But, definitely, that's a good amount, 11.1% increase in a year. That's pretty good, right? So median prices are down, though, from the peak in May, similar to how prices were down in the peak for single-family homes and condos. They were also down, but only by 3.4%, from $414,250, which was right back here, to $400,000, okay? So only a $14,250 difference there. So if we head on down to our blue line here, that's our days on market, average days on market for condos. They are also up to 82 days on market from 68 days on market in December. Now that's a difference of 2 weeks, so that's pretty notable. But it's down from 117 days on market year over year, last January, which is a difference of 35 days. Okay, so they're up from a month ago, but they're down from a year. So we want to see that line, that trajectory, continuing to go up. It's not as much of a straight arrow up as it was for single family homes, but it's still a pretty dynamically upward trend overall. Okay, now next up, we want to look at inventory here. So we're looking at single family homes, and single family home inventory active listings actually got tighter. They decreased from 4,618 in December 2022 to 4,589 in January 2023. Now, that's a decrease of only 29 units, or negative 0.6, okay, negative 0.6. So not even a 1% decrease month over month for active listings, but it's a giant increase from last January of 1,157 units, okay? So looking at that, last January over here, active number of listings, boom, that's a good pop-up year over year, that's actually a 33.7% increase year over year. So that's pretty significant. And again, we want to see that line continue to trend up. We have a little down trend, from November to December. December to January was less of a downtrend. Ideally, we'd like to see that turn around. If you're a buyer in the market, you want to see more inventory, right? More active listings to choose from. And also, the more inventory there is, the more that's going to put downward price pressure on the market. Now, let's look at new listings. Our blue line here, it actually jumped significantly to 1,512 this January from 1,072 in December of 2022. So that's 440 more new listings month over month for a 41% increase. That is very significant, okay? So it doesn't look like a lot on this graph, it doesn't look that crazy, but that's a very significant month over month increase for new listings. Now, year over year is a slight decrease though, from 1,539 last January over here, which is a negative 1.7% decrease, okay? So, not a huge difference in terms of new listings, but, again, we want to see this line continuing upwards. We want to see, probably get back to like more in this 2,000 range. If we get back to that 2,000 range, that'll be a good sign, okay? So it looks like we're on our way. Hopefully the trend continues, okay? Now, next, we're going to look at the same thing for condos. And our active number of listings here in the green line, we can see are up by 109 units, okay, month over month. That's a 1.4% increase, okay? But they're down 124 units from last January over here, which is a negative 1.6% decrease, okay? And let's go down to our blue line there for condos. New listings got a monumental increase from 1,584 in December of 2022 to 2,249 in January of 2023. That's 665 units more month over month, which is crazy, and it's a 42% increase. So even more of an increase than we had in single family homes, which was 41. So both categories, we saw a big increase of new listings. So that's a great sign. Ideally, we'd like to see that trend continue to, like I said, put downward pricing pressure on properties for buyers. All right. Now, the year over year difference from last January over here, which was at 2,667 units, is a decrease of 418 units. Okay, so that's pretty significant as well. We're not quite back up to that. So again, year over year, a little bit of a decrease, but it was actually bigger for condos, a 15.7% decrease in new listings for condos. So that's pretty significant. Now, last little metrics that we want to look at here, last couple graphs that I want to show you guys are dealing with, basically the rate of sales, the health of the market overall, the month of inventory, what type of market we're in. Is it a buyer, seller, regular market? And then also looking at close price to original price ratio, which is a measure of, how far away was the close price from what it was listed for, okay? So if it closed for, let's say a property was listed for $400,000 and it sold for $360,000, right? That's $40,000 less. That would be a 90% close price to original price ratio, okay? Now, months of inventory for January of 2023, which months of inventory, if you're not aware, months of inventory is basically a measure of how long would it take to sell the current supply if no new units were added to the inventory, okay? So how long would it take to sell the existing supply given the current rate of sales, okay? Now, months of inventory for January of 2023 was 8 months, okay? So you can see that in this green line here, boom, right to the 8. That thing's been going straight up since basically that would be March of 2022. And that's a good thing because this was like unsustainable, like down in the 2 month and 3 months territory all throughout 2021. And 2022 wasn't that much better until you got about almost halfway through the year, getting into 4, boom, 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 boom. Now, 6 months or less is considered a seller's market. 6 to 12 months is considered normal market activity, and then more than 12 months of inventory is considered a buyer's market. Seller's market is where the seller has the upper hand. Buyer's market is where the buyer has the upper hand, in simple terms, okay? So the months of inventory in January, like I said, was 8 months, and the close price to original price ratio, you can see this blue line that's like plummeting off a cliff, was 94.7%, okay? So that backs up what I've been saying in a lot of my videos, that the deals are not in the list price right now. The deals are in the sale price. I've been telling everybody who reaches out to me, which you can do in the what's it called, in the description down below. You have all my contact info if you want to reach out. Anyone who I've been talking to, I've been saying, listen, listing prices are like the yellow speed limit signs right now. They're kind of like a suggestion, okay? You don't have to take them super seriously, okay? Although I don't advocate speeding. But what you can see is basically since June of 2022, that close price to original price ratio had just been dropping through the floor. Now remember, the peak of the market was in May, right? When prices were super high comparatively, the 575 for single family homes. And they've just been dropping since then. Basically, as rates got much higher, the market slowed. Sellers couldn't, command crazy prices anymore. So that close price to original price ratio had just been dropping, okay? Now, let's look at the same thing for condos and townhomes. And our months of inventory for condos in January of 2023 was 9. So even more months of inventory for condos than for single family homes by 1 month. You can see that in the green line there, boom. And then the close price to original price ratio was 95.1%, okay? So again, the deals aren't in the list price, they're in the sale price. As you can see, right around that same point in time, actually, you can see the peak of the market right there. Literally looks like a mountain. And then after the peak, it was like, what's happening? And then boom, like a roller coaster, dropping into negative G's. Your stomach goes up into your throat, right? That's what the real estate market has felt like lately. So it's cool. It's crazy. We love it. I love it. I'm a real estate nerd. What do you want? But 95.1%, that's pretty good because it shows that buyers have come back into the market with negotiating power. So, that's a good thing, right? If you're a buyer. If you're a seller, it's not a great thing. Now, what are my thoughts? What should you do if you're a buyer in this market? What should you do if you're a seller? What should you do if you're an investor or somebody who's thinking about becoming one of those in the future? Okay, so if you're a buyer right now in this market, interest rates have gone up a bit, okay? Especially recently in the last week or two, interest rates have popped up to the par rate for a 30-year conventional mortgage is back to 6.8, okay? So it's down from the low 7s, but we're in the upper 6s. Now, of course, you can buy down your interest rate. If you have questions about what that means, reach out to me and I'll explain. But basically, if you have extra money, you can pay to have your interest rate go lower, essentially. And, that takes buyer purchasing power away. For every 1% that interest rates increase, you tend to see prices decrease by about 10%, and vice versa. If you see a 1% decrease in interest rates, you tend to see prices increase by about 10%. Now, that hasn't really been the rule of thumb as it normally is over the last couple of years because the market has just gone crazy and wild, especially Miami being an outlier of the rest of the national real estate market, because while the rest of the national real estate market prices are correcting big time, as you can see, month over month prices for both condos and townhomes in Miami are up. All right. Now they're not up past where they were at the peak, but condos are getting pretty dang close, right? And so anyways, if you're a buyer in this market right now, I would be looking at the rates and seeing, hey, can I buy down this rate? And what is the monthly payment going to be? Can I afford it? If you can, then I think it's a good time to buy because you can actually negotiate more than you could over the last couple years. Like you just saw in those closed price to original price ratios, you can do some negotiations now that you couldn't do over the last year. And very importantly, there's not as much competition from other buyers, okay? Which also backs up the, sort of the ability to negotiate. If the seller has less competing buyers, then you can do more negotiations. So not only can you negotiate better prices, but you can negotiate more favorable terms, okay? So these are all very important things, but you need to make sure that you can afford the property and the monthly payments. If you can, then you can negotiate better prices, better terms, all of that good stuff, and it could be a good time to buy. The most important thing is that you're finding the right property and that you're not overpaying for that property, okay? If you're getting it at market value or even below market value and you're planning on staying there for, at least a few years, then I think it's a good time to buy. It's not a good time to buy, though, if you are not able to pay those monthly payments, if it's going to be stretching your budget and you feel maybe kind of unsure about your job in the economic environment that we're going into / that we're in right now. Because some people are saying, hey, we're going to have a double dip recession. Some people are saying, no, the Fed's going to stick the soft landing. I personally, as time goes on, crazy as it sounds, it feels like, and it kind of looks like to me, that the Fed might actually stick the soft landing or at least somewhere close. Like we're seeing really strong economic data, really strong jobs data. I'm not going to go into all of that stuff. That's for a different video, but basically the economy is not doing so bad. Real estate prices, especially in Miami, have shown to be pretty stable, okay? And as that is, I don't think that things will get too much worse if we do see the recession get worse, at least in Miami. Other places, different story for sure, but in Miami, there's just so much demand. I don't really foresee prices going much lower. So if you're waiting for prices to drop like crazy, stop waiting and start shopping because time in the market beats timing the market, okay? So those are my thoughts for buyers. My thoughts for sellers right now, if you're trying to sell a property, it's never been more important to make sure that you have excellent marketing for that property. I personally pride myself in the quality of marketing that I do for properties. That's not to pitch myself, although I am pitching myself, and I do believe I'm the best person to sell your property. But the reason I say that is because my listings, they're sold before the buyer even steps in the door because my marketing is so good and it makes the buyer have a really realistic and favorable impression of the property so that when they get there, they're like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be like. And on top of that, it paints the property in the best possible light while still being honest about the property. It's not like I'm going to do CGI to make it look like something it's not. But when you have really good marketing, it shows that, the number one, the property is being listed by a professional and therefore there's more reliance on the sale price being correct. It's going to bring more buyers and more buyer eyeballs onto the property, which is going to bring more competition to that property, even potentially more competition than average listings are getting, right? Because I see so many cell phone photos or photos that look like they were taken with a potato on the MLS that it's just insane to me how people even think that that's acceptable, especially in this market where, as you saw, we're not in a seller's market anymore. We are in very decidedly a normal market in terms of months of inventory. So it's never been more important to make sure your property is expertly marketed because that is exactly what it's going to take to be able to get you the most for your property, okay? And to sell it in the quickest amount of time. That's what I specialize in, okay? So if you guys want help with that, all my information is in the description down below. Now, if you're an investor in this market, I don't think it's a great time for flippers because the market is just very uncertain. Material costs have come down a little bit, but they're still kind of high, and it's still a little bit harder to get certain contractors out. Okay, now that's something else that I can help you with. Is I have a book of vendors that I work with. People who I know do a good job. And, some of them are super busy. Some of them are not as busy. So it really just depends on, certain industries, sub-industries of contractors and, things like that, builders, etc. are more busy than others, okay? So there's a lot of variation there, but I don't think it's a great time for first-time flippers. If you're somebody who has experience and you know what you're doing, you know how to manage a project, then I think it could be a good time for you, especially if you're a contractor of some sort and you're able to do some of the work yourself to cut down on the costs. If you're not able to, then you better make sure that you get a deal with enough meat on the bones that where you're able to carry that property for the extra days on market that we're seeing as evidenced by these graphs, and that you're able to potentially not get what you were able to get for the property in the peak, okay? So yeah, if you're an investor who's just looking to buy and hold, I think Miami is one of the best markets in the country to do that because as you see, our market is very stable, okay? You can buy a property as long as you're getting a good deal on it. Ideally for investors, you want to buy things under market value, but as long as you're getting a good deal on it, your pro forma is being met, you're getting a good cap rate of return on your investment, all these things, then I think it's a fine time to purchase for buy and hold because rents are pretty stable, okay? We're not seeing as much of a run up in rent as we saw over the last couple of years when all the New Yorkers and everybody were just flocking down here in droves. Those people are still coming, but not at the quantities that they were before. So I think it's a great time to buy and hold invest, especially if you're planning on holding it for an extended period of time and you get a good deal with enough meat on the bones. Now, as far as Airbnbs and short-term rentals, I could probably do a whole nother video on this and I probably should, but basically long story short, we've seen a big increase in the number of short-term rental units in Miami-Dade, which is going to obviously decrease occupancy rates across the board. So again, you just have to make sure you have the right property for that and that you're getting a deal with enough meat on the bones and you're not overpaying for it, of course, okay? So those are my thoughts overall. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I always answer everybody's comments and would love to hear from you personally. If you'd like some expert assistance in the real estate market here in Miami, that's what I'm here for. So give me a call, shoot me a text, DM, email, WhatsApp, whatever works for you, and I'd love to help you out. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your Miami real estate agent. And if you made it this far, you might as well go ahead and smash the like button and hit subscribe, ring the notification bell so you don't miss videos like this in the future. And I'll see you on those videos in the future. And until then, take care, and I appreciate you watching the video. Peace.